What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about info coaching businesses that have massive back-end monetization models. We're going to walk through a couple examples of how we usually get customers and what they usually buy in info coaching, but then some weird back-end monetization models that I've seen in the financial space using masterminds, sports, and then how we are doing it with our version. And sorry if you hear some crazy stuff in the audio in the background. I'm at a bachelor party, but we still need to do our daily video. All right. Last year, we did 30 million in our info coaching business. We've now crossed over 75 million in total cash collected, and I'm not selling you anything. Everything on the channel is to share what did work, didn't work, and what we are actively doing to scale to 100 million a year, all with the goal of finding top talent, opportunities, and networking with cool people, building cool shit. So let's get into it. To start on info coaching, so these are the main core ones. I split it up with the red and blue here on organic versus paid. But essentially for an organic, this is very, very classic for info coaching. You're going to have organic traffic source, your normal, whatever, 100K followers on XYZ. You're going to push them a lot of the time to a direct-to-cart info product. So it's going to be something that has little to no fulfillment costs or needs. It's going to be a pre-recorded course, community, all of that. And it's going to be under $2,000 so people can purchase it direct on direct-to-cart. And then what a lot of people will do for their back end, for the monetization, will do high ticket. So they'll sell some sort of, basically usually just implementation that's further on this. So instead of doing something that is done as is, just like out of the course where you just do it yourself, the implementation goes up higher, and that's done through high tickets. So it's done with you, it's done for you in some capacity. Okay, so this is where most people like stop the gambit. I am going to talk a little bit on here on the mastermind one as an example. A lot of people then also will just go straight to high ticket. It needs a sales team, generally speaking, because it's an over 2K. You can technically kind of mix these and like have direct to cart that is high ticket, but it's a little scarcer. And then we're just going to say same thing with paid, which is a little more difficult, but very, very consistent and scalable. So we're just going to get straight into this on here on info coaching direct that has these. So the ones that I've seen directly are ones in the financial space. So people always ask me all the time, like, what would I start? What would I start? And again, sorry about the audio. We have people running around all around me right now. But so financial wise, let's use these as an example. So insurance is the one I talk about all the time because I saw it. I actually ran a VSL funnel that was similar, to this. So essentially it was running paid ads. We actually did some cold outreach at the same time, which is kind of crazy. It's the only time I've ever done cold outreach. But it was a specific niche, and we were helping them solve for taxes in retirement. So basically how to pay no taxes in retirement, which was using whole life insurance. So we modeled this whole thing around, built this whole VSL funnel, opt-in funnel. So name, email, phone number, opt. They go, they watch a VSL, they apply, book a call. The big issue with these a lot of the time is the consumption and the warmth. But once you crack it and once you can get them in to either buy something low ticket, because if you're trying to go direct and just like have them put $3 million in a whole life policy and they've seen, a 12-minute video of you and then applied to talk to you, like it's just not going to work. So I just had a video with Jeremy Haynes, and he talks about this a lot, is the consumption, getting ahead of, all the objections before they become, or obstacles or whatever before they become objections in the sales call. But yeah, so they need the trust and the awareness with you. So insurance, a very, very good example of this, of who has done this. I don't want to say exact names. I think I've said it before on accident, but essentially they ran a paid direct to cart funnel. So they were running paid advertising to a funnel that was how to become financially free in 10 years or less, I'm pretty sure was the framing of it. They watched this big VSL, it was actually a webinar, and then pushed them direct to cart to either a $1,000 or $2,000 product. Once they got into there was a higher rung, but what they did is they leveraged monetization method 1, which where they then talked about this vault, use the vault, and it was actually whole life insurance. Okay, so then everyone's getting whole life insurance, which these guys are then them or partners or whatever are licensed to sell whole life insurance, so they make these huge commissions on this, and then in insurance it can be whatever 10 years of commissions or something. They stack on top of each other. Then from there they were then telling them how to, because the whole thing was around how to essentially become financially free by having passive income that overtakes your expenses, right? So basically doing it through rentals. So they taught people how to use this vault to do this real estate portion. So everyone got this. Then they taught them how to do real estate. And then in the real estate thing, they also had I think it was a fund on that end, or like fix and flips and all this. So they were making monetization there. And then one of them, I think, was a fund. So I think there was 3 on the back of this, but it was massive. Like you can do so much size with these, especially just this portion. Like for example, the insurance portion. Another one of someone I've seen do this, I'm just going to stay in this financial one, is the taxation one. So there are guys that were at Onyx Singal's mastermind that do a taxation program. Theirs is very funny because they'll run paid, and it's theirs is paid direct to high ticket. And in their high ticket, it's basically like, no financing, no whatever. If you have to use financing to pay for this, like you are not somebody who qualifies for this and just not going to work. So they sell direct to there, and then they have monetization 1, 2, 3, 4 that are essentially these different like partnerships that they have. So once you get people that are in the rung, the big thing here that I'm trying to get to is that it's the person, like who else has your same customer. So if you have who else has your same customer and you're not building like enterprise value on this, like these partnerships that you can make are massive. So somebody who comes in and then has your exact 60 to 65, whatever, or let's say 40 to 60-year-old high net worth individual, they also need an estate attorney. They also need, XYZ. They also to get trusts or whatever, like they do all these different pieces. They need a CPA, they need a whatever, so you can then refer these out for large sums of money, depending on like who the actual client demo is. All to say, back in the beginning, who your target of info coaching is like the biggest thing here. So if you can do it for wealthy individuals, if you can do it for individuals that grow into XYZ spot and then have large businesses, if you can do it in basically any capacity to where they then have the opportunity or already are like wealthy individuals. And we're going to get to that down here with a sports example of like somebody who has the capacity or the ability to get to the point of making large sums of money. So yeah, any XYZ large business thing. Another really good example of this is there's a guy who does insurance specifically for like snow, for example. So it's like all the snow guys know each other, all the landscape guys, whatever, at these like massive shows. But if there's the guy that becomes that, he can do these like mid tickets or high tickets that are, come into here, learn how I grow XYZ, but then also monetization methods, because everyone needs insurance. Everybody needs, payroll, whatever, all these different examples where they then use partnerships to like null them out. So that's an example in the financial one. I would definitely do it in this insurance space if I was to do it again. Like I literally, the people I met were like, oh, you can do this with annuities and hundreds of calls. You can do this and this. So that's one. Mastermind is the classic one, but I want to explain how it can, like the math behind it and how it can absolutely crush. So if you have, what a lot of these guys will do is like paid direct to cart, high ticket. An example I can use is like Cole Gordon's, like his crushes. But so they will have this normal info coaching ladder, and he actually has this interesting two-sided marketplace, right? So like they'll have paid direct to cart. They'll teach someone how to be a sales rep. They'll then have, there's kind of like multiple offers. His may be a bad example because his is like really intricate and like cool and very cool how it's set up. But so if it's, let's use, who's a good example? Like Russell Brunson, for example, he has a ton of these that are like these massive ladders up that go from here until you're in this high ticket program. And then they have essentially like an inner circle layer 1, they have an inner circle layer 2, 3, 4, all the way up that can tier up. And when you're doing this, you're like, what a lot of the time it's sold as is like, you're climbing this top tier and rung, you're making more money along the entire way, and you're learning new skills that become there. So the framing was always like category king. So everyone at this phase learns how to do XYZ. They all stay consistent with, basically, let's say it's teaching you how to get clients. Okay, everyone gets from getting how to get clients here. This next layer of it, of the coaching and the massive backend, you've already paid to acquire them as a customer, you've already paid your sales rep, whatever. The natural next step for them is to then learn how to productize the service, or for example. Then the next layer is how to be like the category king for your thing. So it's like all these people are all kind of, overlap in niches, or are, there's a few of them. And then one or two will rise to the top and be the guy for, acquisition of leads in the landscaping space, or the guy for life insurance, high ticket, or like all these different models. And then they go into here, and how the math works on those is nuts on the mastermind level in the back end, because you'll have 100 people in at whatever, 70 grand. It's like $7 million. And let's say you have a 50% margin on it because there's some crazy cost to fulfill. You basically give them the offerings up on your way here, or piece and part them for whatever the specific person needs. But the monetization on it is so large. I mean, like if it's 50%, it's $3.5 million added in profit that, again, you're just not going to get in the same, it's going to take a lot more work after. So this is like it's where you can get, this all comes down to like LTV to CAC ratios and like how big you can get the LTV. But if you can build a model like this, and always start over here, just like you have to hammer this and make sure this is great to then, reap this and get more juice out of it over here. But yeah, it's a really, really big one. So masterminds are a big one. An example, like that doesn't work for us. So like these, for example, don't work for us because our customer base is kind of more broad to where it's like, what is the next layer of mastermind? What is the next, and I'll get into what our version is, but what is that for there? I know other people who do like specific income qualifications for XYZ service, and then it kind of does bode itself to have a mastermind or a higher tier, because it's like, oh, then you're going to hang out with other people who are crushing it that are all very, very similar to me. Like that's the thing, is if you have this like broad, like if you're an agency and you have 9 different niches, it doesn't make sense to like, put them all in the same room. If you're, teaching how to do sales reps for final expense insurance, and you build this up, it does make sense to have all the top guys. Like they all want to hang out, they want to learn from each other. Oh, you're crushing it. Same way that conferences work, same way that all that kind of stuff is like, you want to hang out around people that are doing the same. So little things you find at the 1, 3, 5% at that scale are like tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars when they add up. So that's one. This is a really unique one that I actually heard about relatively recent. So let's use an example of soccer. So let's use like soccer, football, or whatever you want to call it. But say you have training for goalies. Okay, so you're teaching people how to be like the best goalie ever. So you can have paid ads, or let's say you have this big organic following and you want to launch this. You have some sort of direct to cart that's some 2K product that teaches them how to do XYZ, or how to, I don't even know, probably a bad example, but like how to stop 80% of goals that come at you, or how to deny every single penalty kick, or whatever it is. So you teach them how to do this. And what you're really teaching them in this to do is you have different tiers. So you have like the high school kids, you have the college, you have the like pro or whatever, and they all have different results, but you're helping them get to the next tranches, or like become all-stars, or become whatever. So you can sell direct to cart things to them, and then pretty easily then upsell into a high ticket, or you can even go direct to high ticket. So something that's $5,000 a year, $20,000 a year, whatever, to help them do it. And then you're matching that to what the ICP is. So whether that's high school, college, or whatever, then you can match it to that. Okay. And where this gets crazy is you have you have those different tiers that you can service, and generally speaking, like pretty solid business model. And I know people who do this. I don't want to like dox exactly what their setup is, but like are crushing with this model in sports for like a specific position. So like, again, let's use soccer goalie as the one, but the next tranche of this is this agency style model. And I've heard of people doing this before. So like someone just said this to me the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because like I've literally seen it play out. I've seen it happen in entertainment world. I've seen it happen one other time in the sports world. But essentially, once you have this book, it's like, who else wants my customer? Who else has my customer? Who else wants your customer is like the professional leagues. Who else wants your customer is like the main large entertainment like district. And like, think about how the agencies and the agents work inside the entertainment industry or the sports industry. They get these percentages of like the tens of $1 million contracts. And maybe those are the larger ones. I'm not fantastic with sports. I don't know why I use it as an example, but like using that framework, you then go from here from making, $1,000 per to your LTV being in the high thousands, tens of thousands, to the blended average when you have 10% of them that then go into the pros, and you get X percentage of 2 million or 5 million or 20 million or whatever on these contracts, and all the other inflow that then you get because everyone knows about you here. So then it comes back and it exists as organic / referral / whatever. Like, this beast just like feeds itself. So that is a huge one, the agency portion of it, that I've heard of that can like really crush. All of this, I'm going to go into our version now, and then we'll cut it because I got to go because everyone's being loud and rowdy. But the other one is basically just the idea of having something that has a massive monetization portion where somebody can either make a bunch of money and you can get a percentage, where there are a lot of similar people that you can charge basically having the same room, where there are financial products or something that is very large, high ticket. So again, same thing, like getting a percentage of a larger deal. I've heard people do this in real estate that have crushed it because they get portions of funds. I've heard people do this in sell businesses that have done it and gotten on there. Roland Frazier talks about like consulting for equity. Like, essentially you can offer service that you already have for equity, which is like, kind of same thing as consulting. At a certain point, if you have the right person who is buying your product, same idea that if you sell a low ticket and you sell 10,000 of them, but it's like not in congruency with your high ticket, then it won't ascend. It's the same thing. It's like if you have to sell to somebody that can either become or already is somebody who has this influence, this wealth, this whatever, and then can take them, it can go to the next tranche. Okay. So like, what our version of this in women's fitness. So for us thus far, we've always just done this. So we have So we've run paid ads to high ticket. So we have this large one-to-one coaching program that's annual. We then actually just sell the same thing on the back end. So we'll just do like recurring. So it's a renewal for this. What we just rolled out was monetization 1 is what I'm calling it, for like another back end. So it's a low ticket. It's not low ticket. It's a downsell continuity. So it's around half the price, and they can stay with group coaching instead of one-to-one. So fulfillment for us is extremely easy. And then a lot of people still want that because it's like, oh, I don't need the one-to-one touch point. I don't want to pay that cost for year 2 or 3 or whatever. I already got what I needed for the personalization. Excuse me. But they need the other portion. They want to stay in there. They want access to the app, community, whatever. So that's like monetization 1. The next one we're layering in is supplements. So people already do this. All of them already take supplements. It's like, why aren't we getting our piece? So for normally what I would say is just doing this with partnerships. So a lot of people will do this with partnerships, but for us, we're trying to build like equity value and make it so this thing is like in-house, not just, we have a contract with so-and-so where we get 40%. So monetization 2 then becomes that. It becomes, in-house version of like supplements or like hormones or peptides or GLPs or stuff like that. Like we don't prescribe to certain pieces of that. So that's just an example because it's not part of our methodology. But what do they already buy, or who else has our ideal customer profile, right? That we can use in it and leverage in this. And then that next piece I did put on here is data and partnerships, because there's so much in our pocket of what we're doing that other people want this customer. So a very, very stupid and simple example is like Medicare, for example. Like people use that as monetization methods where it's, oh, we have all this data, and there's all these rules around like, what you can sell for data, or what you can make intros on, or what you're not actually, like what you can or can't do. I'm not gonna touch on that because that's not our game. And right now we just play this game, this right here. So into the next phases, we're gonna see what we can do in regards to that and data and all those pieces. So hopefully this was helpful. Today's kind of shot out of a cannon one. I can do a Q&A tomorrow. So if you guys want to submit a Q&A, that is going to be this right here. Q&A. Submit to the request box. I'll make an X post about this as well. If you go to the doc right here, you'll see all of the past videos. You can break down by tech, ops, marketing, sales, all the things. Info coaching, this one right here is a survey that I'm doing to try and gather just a bunch of data and see what people in the info coaching space, what they're doing for offers, what they're doing for pricing, how big their teams are, how they're kind of like leaning. There's an info, like if you want to fill out your contact info on the end, if you want me to contact you, maybe I can help. I'm not like doing anything for cash or whatever, so just FYI, just using it to collect data. I maybe will eventually, but like not really in the cards right now, and I won't sell anything. And then Rolodex, this is all my people that I directly have worked with or have known for X amount of time and have actually really good results. So if you guys want anything like sales agencies or CRMs or WAP, financing, stuff like that, I have some pretty cool deals with a lot of these guys. But don't feel you can just find all these direct on your own. You don't have to do this, and I just have some good ones. So yeah, that's where we're at. Sorry for the shot out of a can video today. People are yelling and screaming out here and being rowdy, and I gotta go. So I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you did get some value from this. Hopefully it helped you think a little bit. We were literally talking about this at dinner last night. It was my fault, so my bad there to everybody who's trying to have a fun bachelor party, and I'm trying to talk about monetization methods. So classic. But I'll talk to you guys soon, and yeah.